Gold TV is where you're going to find the U.S. Open Cup final. It's happening on Tuesday at Rio Tinto, and RSL playing D.C. United. So let's talk to the coach of D.C. United right now. Ben Olsen joins us. Ben, we appreciate you coming on, my friend.
It's, as always, Roach, my pleasure.
You know, and I especially thank you because what we tried to set up was a nice little three-way between you, me, and Ramondo to get everybody hyped up for the match on Tuesday. Nick said, you know what, I'm not doing any interviews before the match. What's up with that?
That is very strange for Nick.
That's not like him.
He's a bit of a ham. He likes attention. He always has, and he loves himself a little bit of Nick. So that is surprising.
Yeah, I could understand. So we ended up getting Garth Lagerwey on, who was on before you. So we're going GM and coach for today's show. So thank you for joining us again. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Well, let's get into it. I would have thought that Nick would have come on just because he's got a lot more fun things to talk about than what you would have on, and yet here you are talking with us. So let's start with last year. And do you think that maybe after looking at how this season is laid out, too much stock was put in by either you or the players or maybe even the fans in how last year ended and what went down?
I think we were really fortunate. We caught a couple good bounces last year to get to where we got, and I think we, as easy as it can spiral in a positive way, right? It can just as easily spiral in a negative way, and I've seen that over 2 years. I don't think, from a talent standpoint, last year or this year we've been the greatest team in the league. I think we're, but last year, a big difference was, we had momentum. We were, for the most part, injury-free. We got some lucky bounces. We got some calls. Team spirit was good. And so, this year, things didn't work out. It's been a bit of a perfect storm. I don't think we necessarily got better. Some of the signings didn't work out. We've had injuries. I think we've had guys that played well last year not play well this year. You name it. It was a perfect storm this year. But I'm not so interested in, how bad this year has been, because we have an opportunity and we've come together and this group's come together to somehow figure a way during this season to get into a championship game. And I think there's something to that. And we're excited and looking forward to it this weekend or on Tuesday.
I figured you would say that you don't want to look back and go over what happened over the course of the season. What are you interested in? What is something that you can take away from this year as we wind up this year and go into 2014?
Well, when I say I don't want to, look at that, that's more right now.
Yeah.
Looking ourselves right around the corner and we have a championship game, so it doesn't make any sense. But personally, I have overanalyzed this season. I will continue to overanalyze the players and what I'm doing and this organization is doing till the end of the year, because there's a lot to learn. Selfishly, from me, the players, I think there's a lot to learn. Organizationally, I think we can have a lot to learn from this year. And if you can survive it, I've been saying, you can learn and benefit from this. Unfortunately, a lot of coaches don't survive these type of times to learn those lessons.
Do you take any confidence from how the team played last year, and specifically in your coaching abilities when you go through seasons like this year?
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, I have confidence in what I'm doing. During a season like this, we all question ourselves, players and coaches. But I think that's been a good thing. I think I've grown and I've, in a good way, have analyzed what I'm doing. I've made some changes. I think some of what I was doing was good, and some of it I needed to improve on. And I think this season has forced me to really test myself. Not that I have all the answers, and frankly, I didn't fix it. We're still struggling in the results, and we've consistently struggled. So, occasionally, if I'm really being tested, I'll go to last year and understand that we did have a great year, and We made playoffs for the first time, and we grew as a club. And so we've had a big hiccup this year. Okay, fine. The league gives us a lot of mechanisms to get back on top, and we've had the luxury to plan for next year much earlier. We've had the luxury now to play a lot of young guys and give some experimenting with guys that we need to look at to see if they're going to be a part of the group next year.
You know, a lot of people, when they talk about you and they talk about teams, and I know we talked about it a lot last year on the Capital Soccer Show about grit, and you've always poo-pooed that, and I'm kind of glad looking back that you have always poo-pooed it, because, you know, momentum and all these catchphrases are kind of just that, just catchphrases. They don't really mean much. And I try to I consider myself an even-tempered DC United fan, a guy who doesn't get too high and a guy who doesn't get too low. And I look at the lineups that you have trotted out, and I think to myself more often than not, man, this team doesn't suck. And yet then I look at the results at the end of the day and at the end of a month and go, wow, these are kind of sucky results. So what do you attribute it to that, without using words like grit and we didn't have the bite? And what do you attribute these results to, or lack thereof?
Well, I think I've already answered that. I told you this season's been a perfect storm. I think some guys haven't played up to par. There's been signings that haven't worked out. That's me. We've had injuries. We have trouble getting rhythm because of some of the injuries. And again, there's a whole bunch of things. Seasons like this don't happen because of one thing. It doesn't happen that way. You know, there's so many aspects that you don't know, or most of our fans don't know, that have been going down this year that led us to this. There's been tactical moves that I'm sure weren't good enough from my end. You know, all this stuff rolls in, and then you get a mentality, a spiraling down mentality, where it's tougher to get results. It's tougher to get that bounce. We've had bad calls. I mean, there's been points out there everybody has them. But so it's not one thing. I'm not going to pinpoint, this guy was terrible. We got rid of this guy. It's not that simple.
Your press conferences are always must-see viewing, so thank you for that, Ben. We appreciate that. That really keeps people sticking around for post-game stuff, so that's always a welcome thing. But I feel like maybe mid-season and even early mid-season, you were alluding to things going on, locker room fire, guys not wanting enough or going at it hard enough in matches. And from everything that I've read and your comments lately, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. It seems like inside the locker room, the attitude is pretty good considering what's going on. And I don't hear you harping on that as much in press conferences, post-game press conferences anymore. Has the attitude kind of turned around from that point of the season to now? And can you attribute that all to just the championship coming up, or has the attitude changed because the attitude's changed?
It's a good question. You know, it was a tough stretch for, you know, a good while. And I think we leveled it off at some point. I think the guys started to, you know, we had some real tough conversations with each other and players and me and players with each other. You know, there was definitely a bottoming out. You know, I can't pinpoint the time, but I felt like then we started to make some moves and we got some fresh blood in here. And I think with that fresh blood came a new, fresh perspective. And I think that helped more than anything. You know, and you get guys in here that were committed, wanted to win, had a different outlook on things. And I think that helped. And, you know, since then, the mentality has gotten a lot better. You know, we still haven't gotten the results. But I can live with the way this team's played throughout this second half of the year. It still comes down to mistakes. Some of it's a mentality. When you have this losing mentality, you're waiting to lose rather than waiting to win. So it's a little bit of when we leveled out. That's leveled me out a little bit. I'm not proud necessarily of my team in the winning ways, but I'm proud in the way they're at least going about this in a very, very tough situation. These guys have been tested. It is not easy to go through a season like this from a player's perspective or a staff's perspective or fans for that matter. But we've hung in there together, and I'm proud of that fact. If nothing else, we've hung in there together, and we haven't sank the ship. And that's very, very easy to do in times like this. It doesn't make it any easier, and it won't. But they've been tested, and I'm proud of them for them to somehow find a way to get into a game that means something.
Well, before we look ahead to that game that means something, you've had the luxury in this season, and especially in the last month, to, as you mentioned, map out how you want everything to play out as we lead up to Tuesday at Rio Tinto. Let's talk about Saturday first against TFC. Obviously, you're not going to tip your hand on the lineup, but what are you going to tell the guys that are going to be in the lineup on Saturday? Is this a great opportunity for them to go, look, you've been asking for minutes the entire season. Here are your minutes. What are you going to do with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they're not taking it that way, there's some issues. You could take it as some guys can take it as this game doesn't mean anything. Coach isn't really interested. He's looking ahead to the Salt Lake. Yeah, part of that's true, but part of it is it's a real opportunity for you guys to show me and my staff that you belong here next year. And for some of them, it's about experience. There's going to be some young guys on the field that are going to play an away game, and it's just invaluable for guys like Michael Seaton and Colin Martin, these teenagers, to get real MLS time. And if we were in a playoff hunt, they wouldn't be getting this time. So this is I hope they embrace it. I know they will. Certainly the young guys will embrace it because it's a big moment for them, and I hope they do well. I'm rooting for them, but if it doesn't go well, again, that's a positive step for them to have gone through that experience.
I read in the Washington Post you had a little powwow the other day, and a comment stuck out to me, and I wanted to give you a chance, or at least ask you to expound your thoughts on this team is just getting fit now comment. What did you mean by that statement? Well,
we had new additions, right, that weren't necessarily fit coming in here in the summer transfer. We as a staff did not do a good enough job in preseason pushing these guys to the limit. We had a changeover with physical preparation coaches. Our fitness coach left. We had a new one come in late. We had struggled to really get on the same page in the off season because of that transition to get everybody where they needed to be coming in. So you add that on. I didn't think I pushed them enough. You add in injuries where guys are out for a month, coming back. Then they're out again. It's tough to find that rhythm. And this isn't an individual thing. It's collective. Everybody, I'm talking about a team in general, all 11 guys on the field being fit together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Rather than, okay, 6 guys are fit, 2 guys are coming back from injuries. This guy, isn't fit yet. He hasn't had a game in 2 years. Connor Doyle's coming. He hasn't played a lot. So now everybody's getting fit. My options off the bench are fit. So that's what I mean when I say that.
And when we look to Tuesday, and you mentioned, as we said before, that you've had a great chance to map out the last month to get to Tuesday. You're confident now that there are no excuses as far as health or tactics are concerned. That's the match we've circled. That's the match we've been gearing up to. If we're fully fit now, we should be on all cylinders. You should see the best of DC United on Tuesday at Rio Tinto.
Yes.
I like that. Just a one-word answer. Yes.
I mean, yes. I don't think it. I hope people don't think that I'm using injuries this year or being fit as that's not my main excuse this year. This is part of the equation of the perfect storm that happened this year.
Yeah, and I assume that you expected to have Pontius and De Leon out wide for 75% of your games. How many percent of your games have you had both of them at your disposal? And I'm assuming that's what you mean when you say that.
We weren't that deep, and again, part of that is because of the signings that again is on me. We weren't that deep, so if you're not a good deep team and you don't have one or two key players for certain stretches in this league, you might struggle again, and then you lose a couple in a row, and it starts to spiral. Believe me, I've seen it the other way. So in this last 2 years, I've seen two very extreme circumstances in this league. But last year we found our way to get into a semifinals, and this year we're in a finals. So it's I'm preferring to look at it with the glass half full right now.
Not saying anything's guaranteed, but has it been a little bit easier, or have you been able to manage the way or coach the way that you've wanted to coach, knowing that you have the confidence of the front office that 2014 is going to be an option for you to come back, rather than having to feel like you have to press to save or keep your job?
It's a good question. I think midway we had a great meeting with the ownership group and put together a plan of over the next couple years that makes sense for everybody, and I'm on board with it. I agree with it, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of implementing that and getting it right. It's not big news that we're looking to get a stadium here in 2.5 years or 3 years or whenever we can get this thing done, and it's there's still a little bit of building towards that. That moment, both as an organization and also as a team.
Are you confident that money, if needed, would be available to strengthen the squad if you guys find somebody that you have targeted and said, this is the guy for our team? Look,
you don't need a bunch of DPs in this league to have success. It's been proven. It's been shown year after year that spending a bunch of money doesn't necessarily help. It can help, and it has. But if just the salary cap is there for us, with some additions next year, with the available resources we have, there's no reason why we can't make playoffs. It's simple, and that's our goal. That's always going to be our goal right now, to make playoffs. I think we have the core talent here. If we make good decisions in this offseason, in the draft, with some of the mechanisms the league gives us, and foreign scouting decisions, if we do that stuff right, we have a team that can make playoffs with not a dollar over the salary cap. I have no doubt about that. But we got to make, have to make better choices.
Yeah, and as a fan, I would tell you, love what the Academy has produced. Really like what you guys have done over the summer, using the allocation draft, or however it is. You got Jeffrey and Connor Doyle on the team, and the draft you guys have done well. So I guess that's why I always ask about the international signing, because to me that's where I always look at going, if they could just hit 1 out of 2 on these things, the other things that they're doing is so locked up that's the next level right there.
It is the next level, and if you spend a lot of time on the international market, and if you look around the league, and DC United fans are biased because they're seeing just what we're doing.
Yes.
But there's a lot of, if you're buying mid-range, there's a lot of risk. There's a lot of risk, and even the big dogs are risky. And if you look at the success rate over the history of this league and through each team, the success rate of foreign acquisitions, it's still a roll of the dice. It really is how they translate to our league, how they translate to your system. And that's not to say they're, we don't need to do better, because we do. We have to do a lot better with that. But it's not just us struggling at times with international signings. So, the college stuff, I think we've done a heck of a job. Yeah. The academy stuff, very exciting. The way we've consistently produced guys that are that are doing the academy proud. So, and I think Dave Casper's did a great job in the summer, picking young guys that are hungry, that are ready to come in here at low risk, and I think they've helped us.
I was reading that Colin Martin is actually going back to school and taking classes. And as I read it, I think to myself, wow, that guy's like a young Ben Olsen, because I know after you left UVA, you definitely went and took classes to finish up. Correct, Ben? Ben? Hello?
What's that? There's a lot of static going on here. I'm losing you.
I'm sure, as your first-year professional who still had some credits to accrue at the University of Virginia, you went back to make sure that you locked that all down, right?
I went to the universities. I didn't go to classes. There were some wonderful watering holes there that I used to hang out at, but that wasn't part of my. This kid's got a future.
Yeah.
This Colin kid has a future with soccer and without. So I have no future without soccer.
Well, I'm going to ask you if you are able to lift the cup on Tuesday at Rio Tinto. To me, the best thing that you could do, your first drink is one of Ramondo's beers in his stadium celebrating your win. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. It would be good. I will personally go pour one over his head. Look, and in all seriousness, we're up against it. I mean, I got a lot of faith in my team and what we can accomplish in this. And again, there's certainly an underdog mentality from us. I mean, they're a real team. They are successful for a reason. They've got good, experienced players. They have a very good coach and a good system, and we're up against it. Playing away, it's going to be a very, very tough game, and we're going to need a lucky bounce and some big performances from guys. But I hope we can get that. But again, it'll be a very tough match. But we're looking forward to it. Well, and Nicky is, you know what Nicky means to me.
Yep.
There's nobody I root for more in this league than him. Just not on Tuesday.
Ben, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for taking the time. Best of luck on Tuesday.
Always. Thanks, love.
Pitch Pass.
This is your voice. This is my red, white, and blue. This is my anthem to you.
For more show information, go to pitchpass.com.